evening, and thank you for joining us. The Indian Jewish Heritage Center, together with the Kochini Jewish Heritage Center in Nevatim, are happy to host today Mrs. Rosalind Benjamin Livne, that will tell us about the power of art. Mrs. Rosalind Benjamin Livne. Rosalind was born in Mumbai, the first child of Dinah and Joshua Benjamin, Zichronam Livracha. She grew up in Delhi and lived in a compound of the governmental employees' residence, since her father worked for the government and was chief architect of India. A talk about him we heard in two of our Heritage on Zoom programs in the past. She studied BA in the University of Delhi, learned zoology, botany, and chemistry. When she was 21, she came to Israel as a temporary resident and started 6 months ulpan, followed with her master's studies in the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. She studied biology and chemistry, science, as you see. She lived in Jerusalem, where she worked in a few places as a biologist and also studied painting for 8 years, realistic style. In the year 86, she left with her family to Bronxville, Washington, D.C. in the United States for 3 years, where she continued studying art in the Montgomery College. There, she was exposed to abstract and other styles of painting. After returning, she moved to Karkur, and she worked in Hillel Yafe Hospital, in a medicine company, and a few more places until retirement. She's the mother of Naama and Yoni, and the full-time grandmother of Yael and Alon. Rosalind, the stage is yours. Bevakasha.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Oh, first
Now
of
we can
all,
hear you.
Abner. You can hear me. Fine. Good evening to everybody, and good morning to those who are in Canada and the USA, and a very, very good evening to our participants who are from India. It is quite late for them right now. But first of all, I'll have to say thank you to Abner for making this, for putting in so much of hard work and encouraging us to bring out this Zoom lectures. We've had about 39, and this is the 40th one. And we hope we'll have a lot of other in the future also, we'll have a lot of Zoom lectures and continue to hear stories of our community and other people also, and different varied subjects. Today, what I will be doing, I'll be taking you through my journey as an artist, and also the various techniques that I use or I have learned or have had the privilege to study with various teachers. Some of them were art restorers, and some of the techniques that today are not even known, not taught by Betzalel or any other school. But I was blessed to get to study under these various teachers. And okay, so I hope you enjoyed the presentation. When Nat King Cole sang this song, if he had asked an artist or Leonardo da Vinci, if he could have, what is the secret of a mysterious smile? He would have changed the lyrics of his song, because she's not smiling. Her face is very clear. The cheeks are not, there's no expression. And it happens when you have a model who's in front of you for a couple of hours, you cannot expect them to smile all the time. So the trick that artists use is to give a little bit of darkened area near the end of the lips. So that gives that. So, I mean, so many songs have been, people always ask, what is why is she smiling or not smiling? So that is one of the things that an artist can tell you. In contrast, I have put this is my oldest surviving sketch of mine, which I did in 1974. It's just a pencil sketch, and I didn't really think I would become an artist or anything, but I think it's out of some, I don't remember even what the book was or where it was. Maybe it was a photograph in a newspaper. I don't recollect. But as you can see, in contrast to the Mona Lisa, you can literally feel the bones under the cheek and the sparse hair. And, you know, he's very thin. At the same time, he's not miserable or anything. And it's, I like this sketch very much. You might be wondering why, what's, I'll explain a little bit about this flyer that I chose to put out. And it's based on a technique in art which is called trompe-l'oeil. It's a French word, which means is to fool the eye with a 3D object. And when I was in the States, I saw the paintings of Harnett Michael William, William Michael Harnett, and he's a still life painter. He was. And it is all about doing perspective, which is, it creates an illusion. And as you can see, the frame has been painted and there is dust also painted on the frame. So it's a little bit of a, you know, you can see that wood is sticking out of the frame, which cannot be possible. It's not feasible. So, and now here are some of my paintings from India. This is an oil. It's a very old painting of mine, and you can see it's south of India, and the coconuts and the houses, and you can almost feel the heat of the painting. The hot sort of tropical type of place. And this is also a painting which depicts the fishermen who go out into the sea. But this used to happen 2,000 years ago when there were no boats, and the fishermen used to sit on these logs and go out into the sea and bring their thing in. I thought it was logs, but then my father told me, no, these are the old type of boats before they went. And sometimes I guess the guy used to fall off, I don't know. But I put this painting specially. I have made another painting like this, but I want to show you what happens to a painting when it is kept over a heating radiator, and it starts peeling. So that's why in museums, they're very careful about the temperature and the humidity, things like that, because it does affect paintings. So this is a example of what can happen. Sorry. This is another painting. It shows rain and more rain and more rain, and you can see the stream is full of flowing. And of course, this is just an oil. This is another painting from India, and you can see it gives that color that is in India, the dust and the haystacks and that little bullock cart or whatever. And it's haystacks. It's India. It's another drawing from India. It's just a pen. It's just an ordinary pen drawing that I did somewhere in Kerala. I can see, and you can see the cows. And sometimes I would make a good sketch, and then I would slightly change it and make a proper watercolor. This is a watercolor. I've added a stream and I've added some barbed wire, but it does give the feel of India. Another Indian something in Kerala and the south, all the coconut trees and the boats. Another landscape, also in watercolor. Here you can see the fishermen who are, this in the evening, nighttime fishermen. And this is also watercolor, somewhere in India. This is a painting that I've started doing. I still have to finish, but you can see the dhobis and the people, and there's a little goat tied up, and the women are walking. And, it's a typical dhobi ghat. If you know the washerwoman, they have to wash the clothes, and it's hard work. And some of the stuff that's around, but it's in a process that I'm still working on. So another thing of India where they're carrying the harvest, and this I'm showing this painting that whenever I feel that I lack something, I like to look at this painting, and then it puts me in the right perspective. When you have, why should we complain about something when here is something that is, here's nothing. Now I've got some, is it, no, just to change it. Yeah. This, of course, this is this is my first oil paint, and which was done with a teacher, my private teacher, the teacher who used to teach about 3 or 4 students. And this is a special technique that I studied with him. I was lucky, and there are things I had no idea of what I was painting. How the first time I painted this sort of little tablecloth, he said, no, it's looking like a plastic tablecloth, and it's not. It's the underside of a skin of a cow or something like that. So I had to go back and work on it more. But each little item, each one is different. So there are various things in a oil paint, and each has to be handled differently. The materials are different. So the teacher, his name is Sakhi Gil. He's living in Pardes Khana today, and he still teaches. And I was very, very blessed to get taught by him. And as you can see, even here, this is my second oil paint, and he purposely made us learn how to paint different things. So it's a way to, each material has its own way of painting, and the way to mix colors and all that, as you can see, the different materials. It's another painting. This is also another still life painting. Still life has its own beauty. Not everybody can appreciate it, but it does. It has its own quiet something, and it does teach people to paint. Now, to explain to you how we start, how underpainting. If I talk about underpainting, I put this specially so that I can explain to you what is an underpainting. As you see, the canvas has been painted brown, and then this is actually an egg tempera. So I take a yellow of an egg, mix it up with powdered. Take an egg, dilute it with water, and then add some powdered white powder, which is titanium white, and do this, which is called, it's like working from a negative to a positive. So here I would add more of the white tempera, like the tin can gets more, the little bottle tops get more, and you can see there's a reflection of the light onto the frames that are there. But this is the way that Rembrandt used to work, and some of the old techniques. Rembrandt used to make this part even darker, and then he would highlight everything. It's a way to, and then after doing the tempera, then you can go in and start painting with colors, with oils, with linseed oil and paints, regular paints. So this is just to show you the transition and how to do it. So you actually work step by step without really, but you have to solve your composition problems and things like that. Here is another very official type of office type of painting. This is completely white and all metallic. Now this is when I was in Jerusalem, artists. This would probably be an architect's horror nightmare, or even a building contractor would probably go crazy if you see something like that. But for an artist, it's a gold mine. It's pure gold. And I love to see all these little things. You can see actually, I put my name also in a little heart someone had drawn. And these very old houses, everything is falling apart. There's an old washing machine with some tin on it. And people were living there in Nakhlaot in I think it was in 75, 76. And people used to live there. And I mean, they would complain. And you see, even on the roof, there is a hole in the roof. And because the roof is all made with tin. So, yeah, for artists, this is great. Yeah, it's another one of Nakhlaot. And actually, I was looking at this, and there was an old man. He came out and he wanted to know what I was doing. And I wanted him also in the painting, but he went in, he got scared and something like that. And of course, again, you say the window, which the pane is broken. There's a hole in the wood, and of course the door is small. Everything is, this tin thing is all rusted, and of course this old trunk has got an opening on the top, which is broken. It's wonderful stuff. This actually, it's a very long procedure because I paint this with very small brushes, which are number 1, 2, and 3. These are sable brushes, and of course, every little detail has to be put. It's fun to work, but it takes time. You can see a close up the window, and you can see some egg cartoons there and things like that. Also part of Nakhlaot in the evening or in the nighttime, when there's nobody around, probably gives the feeling of what's happening today also when everybody's locked up. But this today, I don't know how much of these old buildings have remained, because it has been, built up, and now there are quite a few fancy houses and become a probably expensive area. But in those days, it was quite run down. This is the Kinneret, if you can recognize it. Many years ago, you can see that guy with his looking after a sheep, and there's a little fisherman there and things like that. It's also oil. This is just oil. Yeah, again, Kinneret, and they're bringing in the fish, the harvest, and all the boats, and then there are people who are selling their products. The bargaining is going on there, and these people are bringing it in, and there's a guy supervising them. Probably the guy who makes the most amount of money. And this is Banyas. The Banyas, you may have visited it. It's the waterfall, and this is oil. It's quite a big. When it's full of water, but it's a very, very Israeli, it's a known landscape in Israel. And I have also made a print of it, and I think I have a watercolor also. This is again landscapes of Israel. You can see there's a little thing there, very typical. Somewhere in the Galil. This is in pen. Just pen, just regular pen or pilot pen. I like to have a pilot pen because you don't have to worry about anything. And sometimes it has, you might have drops of rain or something, which does affect the thing. But this, I think I made in 92. This is an interesting sketch, because when I was in the old city, those days we used to go to the old city on the Saturdays and nothing used to happen. But what had me interested was, you have these really broken down houses, and then suddenly you have these antennas. And there are people living there. But it's like, for me, it was funny because you have so many antennas reaching out to, I don't know, modernization, and then you have these these houses which look as if nobody's there. This is also an archive in Jerusalem, Yerushalayim Hatika. And, I think I've written my name somewhere there also. This is also an arcade, a nighttime view of, and this is also just pen and highlighted with a white pencil. And I did make a intaglio print, which I'll tell you later on about this. Many times I would use the sketch and make prints out of it, which is, well, in 90, yeah. Now this is, I had the good luck and good fortune to come to America. I was there for 3 years with my family. And this is New York. As seen, you can see the reflection of the New York seen on the Hudson River, I think. And it's sort of, New York, New York. Another scene. This is just an ordinary, I think, a pen that I had, and then you can see the Statue of Liberty. And when I saw her the first time, it was very misty and cold, and I hope this sketch does give that feeling. This is we came to Washington, as you say, the Washington Post, the newspaper. And we basically came with our suitcases and then my worn out shoes. And we came and rented a three-storied townhouse. So luckily I had a little studio to work in the basement. And you can see there's an umbrella and believe it, I don't know how, but I think this was the original suitcases that we went with. I can't believe it myself, but this is when I was in the States, because my son was 3 years old and we had to put him into the closest kindergarten. And the closest kindergarten was in Montgomery College. We were living in Rockville, that is in Maryland. And in Montgomery College, because I had to put him into kindergarten, I had to sign up for some class. So the only class that, of course, where did I go? I go to sign up for an art class. And the first class that I took was portrait painting. And this is the end of the course. We had to make a full, this is a self-portrait though, because I wasn't doing all this. I was just painting, but I just made it up that I had all the tarot cards and you can see the person whose fortune is being told, he's in that little globe. And the perspective is such that you feel as if the table is moving and the globe also is sort of suddenly going up. And she's, of course, very much immersed in her reading of the tarot cards and the chandeliers moving, and some apparition has come in from the window and the curtain is moving, and we get to see this. But she is in her, in her whatever. So, and by the way, I forgot, this is a pure tempera. And the rest of the class all did oils and all that. And it took me much longer to do this painting because I had to do the underpainting. Then when you're doing tempera, you have to wait for the tempera to dry, which is, of course, the yellow of the egg with the whites. So that, and this painting, if you see her face, the light comes from inside. Even if you put this in a dark room, just a little bit of light, the shine of the painting comes across. It's not like an oil paint where you just put a white paint on the top. The whites, everything is coming from inside. The chandelier and all these whites, even the curtain, all that is tempera. And then there's oil on the top, oil painting on the top. This is, I took a watercolor class again with the same teacher, Ed Alstrom, and he had taken us This was in bright sunshine, and they'd taken us to the marina in Washington. So everybody, all the class sat in the shade, and I sat here somewhere in a little boat that was tied up, and I had to get that particular angle. So it was more interesting. And then when I came home, actually, I made it into a nighttime view. And, when you make a nighttime view, you put the darks, you put the reflections, you have the boats. And, I always feel that sometimes the night views are more interesting than the hot summer, a night view has another, like here, this is a print that I made with another class that I took with Barbara Kern. And it was an Intaglo print. Intaglo print is actually, these are copper. I will later on show you some more prints and explain about it. Is actually done on a copper plate. The drawing, you cannot erase it. And even if you make a mistake, it takes time to start erasing the metal. It's a metal plate where you scratch on it and then also put it into acids and work it. And you have to work. It's a lot of work, to do the printing and then putting the inks, and then you put it through a press, a hand-driven press. And actually, this was in the exhibition in the school, in the Montgomery College art exhibition that they had. Now, this is just a pen drawing of some garden with some sculptures. As you can see, there are a few sculptures here somewhere. Just a simple garden. And then I use it to make it into an oil color. You can see, it's almost the same. Another one, there was a little pond near a house, and this is also an oil. This is again, I think it was a little river when we had gone for a trip, which I'll tell you later on, from the art school. And I was sitting at the side of the thing, and then you'd start drawing, and just an ordinary pen, pilot pen. Yeah, this is another sketch of mine of the cornfield in America. It's very American. You can see the maize, the corn, and the little houses, and some horse or something. So very typical American. This, when I was in America, this is the first time I really saw what is called a hurricane. It was snowing and the breeze, and there was a snowstorm. And but our house, I was always surprised how warm the houses were there, though they would seem so flimsy, but at the same time all wood and everything. But the houses. But here is something from, I think, from my window, and you can see this is a technique of watercolors. But before you do that, you just take a candle and you scratch on it so that you get these effects. There is, when I took a class of watercolors with Alstrom, I was happy because wow, there were some students there, they really were very good at watercolors, and I didn't know what I was doing. But it gives the feeling of of a real storm. It's another Lake Needwood that we had gone to, just close to our house. Here also, this is also a watercolor, and it gives a feeling of mist in the trees, and it's cold, and it's quite different from India. It's like here you can see also this is a watercolor, and I don't know how much of the trees. It's surreal, slightly surreal picture. This is a very interesting. This is also something. It's the course that I took with Dr. Marsh. He isn't alive anymore, and he was a wonderful teacher, and he was an art restorer. So this is actually a silver point. We don't see too many silver points today in museums because they keep it under lock and key, I think, because it's an old technique. Before the pencil was invented, artists used to take a wire, which could be silver, it could be gold, it could be copper, and they would draw on not on paper. You can't make a mark with silver on paper, but the paper was gessoed. It was specially to hold the parts of the little parts of the silver in it. And here in the picture, you can see it. And it's difficult to see, but in the real painting, the sketch that I've got, as time goes by, the silver becomes tarnished. So you get that little gleam of the silver on the gessoed paper, gessoed thick paper. And unfortunately, I only have one like that with silver point. Okay, this is part of America. I saw these motorcyclists who used to go around with their helmets. The first time I saw them, they used to be always going with these huge motorbikes and with groups. I took a course with, again, with Dr. Marsh, and this was a course of pure tempera, not tempera with oil. And this tempera, before oil paintings were invented, oil paints were invented, people used to, I'll go and show you this is the sketch, and then this is the tempera. This is pure tempera, which is done on wood or masonite. And this tempera type of painting, this is again, you take powders, different types of powders, mix it up with an egg, yellow of an egg, and sometimes they would add a little bit of linseed oil. I think even that was not added. And this was done this is on a masonite plate. But before oil was invented, in some of those old paintings, mostly of Christ and all that sort of thing, in these churches, they would have these wooden panels. And now your painting is limited to the size of the wooden panel. And tempera also, it's a little tedious. You have to work very slowly, and the colors also are worked in. You are limited because it's not like limited to the amount of powdered colors. And once upon a time, the painters would have these big, the painter would have his apprentice would sit and powder all these colors for him. It would be earth colors, and some of the colors, sometimes, some of these colors were very rare and very expensive. Like if it was made from the, from the skin of the thick skin of insects, or it was just earth color, so they would take different types of earth, make it into a powder, and then the apprentice would sit and do all the background, and then the main painter would come in and he would give in all the details and so on. And sometimes these paintings were they were asked, because the painter has to live with something, all these people had to. So they were usually, the guy who would support them was either the king or the pope, or all these people who belong to the church who would assign all these paintings. So that's why you see a lot of these paintings today in churches and very, very old. This is tempera. This is another tempera. That is just trees that was near a house. This is an oil. This is just a simple oil with, rows of bicycles. This is something also interesting. This is also actually, this is of course on canvas, though I did do a tempera and did watercolors and did a print also, but this is Washington, DC. And I think it's very relevant even today. You can see the guy who's sitting in the middle with a big computer, and his coat is on the back of his chair. And of course, he's sitting on something that is not at all stable. And you can see that the Chinese are coming in from one side, and the other side you have Arlington Cemetery and all the soldiers who died in the wars for America, Vietnam, and so on. And then you have the very rich, transparent group of people who really had the power. And of course, everybody wants to reach the moon. And so yeah, that's China. You can see China is also trying to, they have their power struggle. Okay, now when I talk about etchings, this is what I wanted to explain to you, that this is a plate. This is a copper plate. If you can see, there are these etched lines. It is literally you scratch into the copper, and there are various techniques used here. There's also acid, where you put it into a plate of acid, and the acid eats away, and you spray it, and then wherever the spray is there, the acid will not etch out the plate, and then this whole plate is inked. It's inked, and then rubbed out. And so the ink is only in the scratched areas, and that is put into a press, hand-driven press, and then you can get a print. And this is really an intaglio print, because intaglio means it's inside. The lines are inside. It's coming, the print is coming from inside the lines. And unfortunately, today there are a lot of prints that are sold in the market, which is not a real print by an artist. And if you put your hand on the paper, when we print it, it's like a wet paper, and then after that it gets that embossment. So if you put your finger along the edges, you will be able to see that's a real copper. That's a real intaglio print, or even it could be zinc plates or any other plate. But yeah, but that is it's a very it's a process which makes you clean your plates, and there are a lot of cleaning and washing up and stuff like that. But that is part of being an artist. And I was very in Montgomery College. Sometimes I used to be at 2 o'clock in the night sitting in the print room and working, and that was great, because in America they let you do all that sort of thing. The artists, the students and the artists. It's great fun. This is another print, intaglio print. And if you notice, this is an artist proof. Many times artists don't sell their artist proof. They do it. This is the first of few, maybe there are 1 or 2 prints that come out. And then the artist will sell the good thing about prints is that he can make many prints. He may make as many as at some point the plate wears out, where the print becomes less and less intense. But that's the good part about it. It's not just one print, though you have monoprints also. But this is this is 4 seasons, right? This is summer, winter, spring, and autumn. So it's 4 seasons. This is another artist. This is another print of just a sketch. I first make a sketch, and then this is a simple dry point, we call it in printing. It's just without acid, but you can see it's just etched lines. This is also a print that I made from the Banyas waterfall, since I had the sketch, and then I made it into a print. And when you make a print, it comes out right side. The left becomes the right side because you put it down. So you can see the number of the print is 12 by 75, and the artist's signature, and the date, and the signature. It should always be in pencil. Nobody should sign in pen or something like that. I mean, that is the traditional way. And collectors, if they do collect, they usually keep these prints in the cupboards, and not they don't usually, like watercolors. It's also kept inside cupboards if there's a precious watercolor. And sometimes when you go to see watercolors, a very famous artist also. Okay, this is a print uh, that I just, with the figure drawing that I had, I made it into print that, Adam's, what do you say, the woman was created from the rib of man, by taking the rib of a man. Well, it's sort of, this is another print that I made. I had actually drawn some mosquitoes around her, but I think it's not. This is, of course, the print of the Washington Race to the Top. You can see that they're trying to reach the moon. I don't think they're really, Now, these are prints. I love animals. I mean, for me, animals I can't, when I say an animal suffering, it's too much. This is, of course, just a simple pencil drawing, a very old drawing of mine, of animal, and you can see the expression of the animal. This is also another type of a dog. There's ones with the hairy sort of things. Just a pen drawing. And this is, of course, the cat. And what I like about this thing is the way the cats always sleep curled up, and
It's your cat,
it's my cat. Yeah, this was our cat. Is a cat that we got from America. The kids. He was about 18 kilos, I think. And this is my sister's favorite animal, Ruthie, cockroaches. And this is jellyfish, another watercolor. And this is a painting that I made, things that in the sea, nature is also cruel. You can see the big fish are eating the small fish, and the small fish are eating all the other things, the big fish itself, and the little, she's giving, like, she's giving, I don't know what, all the, you can see it's sort of a little bit scary, but I think this is what happens in the sea, in nature. And the eggs that she is, at the one hand it's going on, and then these fellows are, I think it's, now this is, I thought I was going to paint some pictures for my grandchildren, but in the end, it was the adults who loved these pictures more. So they're with me, and you can see this is the insects having the bug having an orchestra, and you can see the little ant who is singing, and this little ant who is playing on the harp, and this guy who's playing on the various instruments you can see, and the funny things going on. And while she's singing, this little bug is eating away at the flowers, and the screen is the little dewdrops on this little web that this spider is he's also playing on something. And you can, what's good about this composition, you can see the audience, and you can see the people on the stage, and we are the audience also. And of course the leaves are dancing, and it's great fun, I think. It's and then this guy is, it's cut off, I think. There's someone sitting on a leaf and just watching it. And of course the thistles who are in the air, and they're also dancing. But I think a lot of adults, and then of course the music sheets are actually the butterfly, and it's all written. And you can see here the trombone is, the music sheets are actually flying away. And here this guy has a little cute fellow, has a little flower which he is playing on. Now, frogs are one of the most animals that are eaten. They're also eaten, and they're also, in France and in China, the frog's legs are supposed to be a big delicacy, and they're getting quite extinct. The frogs which are in nature, the natural, some of the very colorful frogs, some of them are poisonous. But I made this painting so that I wanted something for them, and they're enjoying. They're having a break, singing away, and then this mother frog is looking after her, trying to get her children from doing some funny things. Their kids also hanging on, and then of course a little bit of a joke that this fat frog is sitting and eating some legs, and it's a bit of a joke. And then this is a nighttime view of fairies, and you have these little fairies going up in the sky, and then the moon, and then they're dropping fairy dust, and these two fairies are in conversation, and there's sitting on a little shell, and and here she's enjoying the view. It's sort of imaginary. Now, there's something that I like to do always is to put mood into my paintings, and it makes the painting more interesting. So here you can feel the tension of the person who is lighting up the cigarette. They always, their face goes all, and it's trying to show, I'm not judging anybody, but when they light up a cigarette, the whole body is sort of immersed, in the hands and everything. This is a watercolor. This is another watercolor showing the wet, cold outside, and people with umbrellas and with their raincoats, and these little stores with some light on them. And I have another thing that I even have added some dogs somewhere to this, but somewhere. Maybe London, maybe, I don't know. This is another very wet, moody type of picture, and this is showing fishermen, the hard life of fishermen. They have to mend their nets sometimes, and the nets, you can see the nets and all that. And it's, you don't know where the horizon ends. Does it end here or there? It's all very misty and very foggy. And this is another painting with dance and music and having fun. This is a painting that this is actually a watercolor. It's just an ink and very little watercolor of a very polluted city, maybe in the south, I don't know. But you can see even the sun is sort of almost polluted, but it does give a feeling of pollution. I have another, actually, another piece. This also is part of my mood, and you can see the total. It's horrible. This painting, I wish I could send it to all the politicians to see. Yeah, she's a beggar woman, yes, and there are a few coins here, and it's total. It's sad, but it's. I don't know what her inner feelings is, but it's just. This is also. This painting reminds me of a poem by Robert Frost. It's called. It's the woods are dark. The woods are lonely, dark and deep, and I have miles and miles to keep, miles and miles to go. He was actually on a horse, and he was tired, and he had miles and miles before he slept. Okay, now because I'm Jewish, I had to have something also of religion. So I'm not religious. This is blowing of the shofar. This is a watercolor, just a simple watercolor. And this is a oil paint and a little bit of pastel. And you can almost feel the shofar blowing. I wish I could put the sound of the shofar here also. And they have the Sefer Torah and the boys who are reading, and of course all the decoration and stuff like that. The women at the Wailing Wall. This is just a sketch. I have a print also. This is just two separate watercolors, but I think it shows these two boys of different origins. Maybe this is Ashkenazi, maybe this guy's Faradi, but both of them, of course, kissing the mezuzah before they enter the house, and you can see that they are in a it shows the closed society. You're looking at something, and they are, of course, I have purposely drawn this sort of thing that it closes the person into his own world. So by kissing the mezuzah, he's entering into a closed world, or it's good and bad. It depends. Now this is computer art, which I did and here you have a Japanese sushi. What do you call it? Japanese. Those guys who fight and all that. You can see as that instrument. Sumo wrestler. Yes, sumo wrestlers. It's done on the computer. It's fun. This is again just dancing in the fields. This is the field summertime. It's very hot and nice. And this is a nighttime view of the same dancing in the fields. This is computer art of my art, right? Of a cat, of my cat. And this is just, I was trying out computer art. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing, but I had to use what I have. Now this is, I call it Utopia. This is actually 3 canvases which basically can join together, but it's called a triplet or something. Yes, and this is, I will show each one separately. So now you can see this is the beginning of the creation. Well, whatever. When the universe was created, you had water, you had fire, and you had maybe, I don't know what, animals or the energy coming in. And this is almost an abstraction. This is when woman or man was created. You can see sleeping and then whatever. And this is when the birds, the big bird, is bossing around with the small one. And then this is a lot of mechanical stuff comes into Earth or universe. And maybe you have to sometimes leave Earth also. And this is a little bit of when aliens, that's in the very cold, metallic, that's the way I look at it, metallic spaceship, and they are looking at our earthly paintings, which are warm, have wooden frames, and you see this little guy who's taking probably the reporter, the photographer, whatever, and the little child with his, well, they're also humans like us. And here you have various objects which they have put in their museum, which explains what Earth is. That's a bit of a joke. This is something, thank you. This is, I wish the whole world could live in places like this with beautiful gardens and a fountain and with birds and trees and carpets. And well, one day when there's no poverty and no hunger, and it's paradise, it's back to Eden, as I would say, or it's Arabian Nights, whatever you could say. Each one says his own. I've also actually made a paper cut of it. I drew a paper cut, which is still being done. And my son had to work very hard. He was doing all the hard work. I was just drawing. So I have a drawing and another paper cut still lying in the cupboard. And I think that's it, right? And thank you. And if there are any questions, I'll be more than happy to
Wow, Rosalind, that was amazing.
Thank you.
You're very talented and you have a lot of compliments.
Wow.
There is a question from Tova.
Yes.
Besides complimenting you, she's asking you if you can share with us your experiences and your difficulties in your evolution as a painter.
Wow, nice question. I'll tell you something. If your son or daughter not you, maybe I'm not saying you, but when I was growing up, uh, in the 60s, if you told your parents you want to be a bank manager or work as what well, whatever, so the usual jobs, everybody would be very happy. But if you tell people that you want to become an artist, no, that's not right. It's not right, because I wanted to be an artist, and my parents discouraged me. I mean, out of good, because out of good faith, they said, "What are you going to do being an artist? What will you do with it in Israel? Who's going to give you a job?" And I wanted to actually go and study in the Delhi School of Art. And my father said, no, he knows all those artists there. They walk around looking with long hair and they look maybe drugged or whatever, who knows. But no. So that's why I went and started studying. I signed up for a 3-year Bachelor of Science course in the Delhi University, which was 3 hours away. 3.5 hours by bus. I had to change buses and every day go and study. But the thing was that what I didn't realize, and maybe actually I got a lot of arts, I could do a lot of art in the college there because I had taken up biology and botany and zoology. And after the lectures, we used to have 3 hours of practicals. 3 hours of practicals. Of course, chemistry was different, but botany and zoology means in those days there was no computer. So you had to sit, and from the animal that you had dissected, you had to sit and draw it, or animals that were in formalin, or in botany, that means looking at the whole life cycle of a plant and the seeds and the whatever. So it meant you had to have skills as an artist, or you went to the library and picked up books and things like that. But there was no computer to help you, nothing. And the funny thing was that when very important visitors used to come to the college, the teachers, the proud teachers, they would take out my portfolios, which were the best drawings. I mean, I should admit, and they would show it around and say, "Look, this is the level of our students, and look at the way they label their drawings, and this is how we teach them." So I used to keep quiet because I knew exactly what the rest of the drawings were. There were some students who had a horrible time to draw, and I used to feel bad for them. But unfortunately, when I came to Israel, actually, my parents moved from their very big government house because my father retired, and they went to a small little rented flat, and a lot of stuff was thrown away. So my 6 portfolios full of scientific drawings was just sold to the kabadiwala, to the waste paper man. And I don't know how many oily pakoras and samosas were eaten on these packets of with scientific drawings. So that is a story. There were also other things, because they didn't do it because they didn't, that's what their attitude was. Nobody can become an artist. It's not right. You have to be something else. You have to go study, do some serious studies and all that. So she has the genes. She knows how to draw. Okay, so what? I remember there was even...
Rosalind, there's a question.
Yes.
When are you going to make an exhibition?
Okay. Wow. That's difficult because Because, I'll tell you, the problem with a lot of these exhibitions is that, first of all, you have to give at least sometimes 60% of the sales, the selling, the amount that art is sold for, 60% goes to uh, the gallery itself. Then also the galleries here in Israel, they asked the artists to frame the pictures and to, put the proper, the what do you call it? Forget the word. It's put on another, I'm forgetting, you put it in another backing also, which has to be acid proof, and then hang up the pictures, then ask all the people, get people to come and make that event that, and the gallery sometimes doesn't do anything except for making money. And even that, sometimes they charge you for putting your paintings up in the gallery. And it's a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of things happen that shouldn't be there. And actually, even in the 80s, when I was working and doing this very realistic type of art in Israel, the trend was for conceptual art. And even in the art schools, there was this trend that, this is not art. It's just you look at something and you paint it as it is, or something like that. And even the teachers in the schools were all contemporary artists. So a lot of artists did, and a lot of artists who I know personally just left Israel and went abroad. They went to the States, Australia, or England. And because the critics here in Israel didn't like realistic art. I know one guy who was the teacher of my teacher, Zohar. He's now in England. Of course, he left whenever he used to make an art show, the critics used to literally literally bring him down. And he left for London. And today he he's making a lot of money painting all the portraits of all those, of all the important people in London. And he makes a lot of money, and I think he has got a huge house somewhere in London or something. Then there's another artist I know who left for South America, and they said that he was crazy. He was not at all crazy. He used to have a lot of arguments, a lot of people here that really put him down. And he has these huge paintings, I think very beautiful. And he's called Knispel. Knispel has beautiful, very, very, very Jewish paintings. And the trend was all, put a ladder in the exhibition and with a bucket and a dirty cloth, and that is considered art. But
Rosalind, you have many styles. Do
yes.
you have any favorite? You have many styles. Do you have any favorite? Mimi is asking.
Who? Whether I have a special, okay. That's actually, when I just started painting, because I do it realistically, because that's how I started even in college, without realizing what art was. I should just draw, and everything. All my books were always covered up with doodles and books and girls and all sorts of things. And my teachers sometimes used to get angry because why was I spoiling all my notebooks? But I have studied realistic art, and I know all the ins and outs of it, how to put the composition, all that. Today, I do try to break away from that. It doesn't come easy. I can do modern art. It's very simple. It's all right. Once you know the tricks of the trade, as you say, it's easy. But today also, there's another problem. I can't paint with oils because of the turpentine, and I'm allergic to a lot of things. So that's why my medium has changed. I use water-based oils, which is just water and not oils, not turpentine, which is dangerous. And luckily, the market is coming out with a lot of good quality water-based paints. And it's not acrylic. Acrylic is different. For me, acrylic is it's a little, it's a little plastic for me. I don't know. I find it doesn't go where I need. So I love oil, but I can't paint with it anymore. So, it's a health issue also. And unfortunately, a lot of artists, they ruin their health with also painting with, or once upon a time, I remember there's flake oil, flake white, which is based on lead, or some of these cadmiums are very dangerous colors to use, and you should never put the brushes in your teeth. Or I remember, on your mouth. I remember even somewhere in beach, so I found these women were using the cups to put their brushes in. And I got very angry and I said, no, what rubbish, it's poison. You have to understand that these cups are for drinking and not for putting your brushes in. Anyway, at some point but today, yes, a lot of ways that, there's a lot of, today uh, we are more exposed also to safety things, which once upon a time, nobody was really, and I can say quite a lot about things about safety, which, so of course the
Rosalind, Shaul
limitations of,
Shafir is asking,
yes,
yes, Shaul is asking, what are the possibilities to integrate in some kind of a project that
yes.
does kids books, paintings, or nature books, paintings, stuff like that. Any project like that?
Okay. Believe it or not, when I was in the States, I was approached by the wife of the what is it, Shagrira, say Kalkali, Mispacha
Commercial
Kalkali.
ambassador,
What?
commercial attaché,
The commercial
the commercial
attaché.
attaché.
Okay, so I was approached by his wife. That was a funny story. And she came to our house, very, very well-dressed woman, very nice. And she sat in my kitchen of all the, and she said, she's a writer of children's books, and she's looking for someone to illustrate her books. So I said, okay, no problem, I'll do it for you. She said, how much shall I pay you? We didn't have too much money at that time. Believe it or not, we were living on a very small stipend given by the Hebrew University. So I said, no need. You just give me 1 or 2 books and I'll be fine. She couldn't believe it that somebody would just give it to her free. I said, no problem. And then I did draw for her, I think, quite a series of, according to her story, of some rats going somewhere to Paris and putting on some hats and stuff like that. And I did make a series of drawings, and she was very happy with it. And afterwards, someone told me, you should have asked money and all that. She's a very rich woman and she lives in Kisaria today and things like that. But I'm not like that. So I did do one book.
Yofi. So I think we can say from here that we will try and find the way to help you make a book with all your works and paintings.
Wow,
so
thank you.
This is something that is a surprise to you from now. We also want to thank Yoni that was on your side there helping you preparing everything. So thank you, Yoni, for everything. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much. I'm very happy that the audience was so quiet and or maybe I didn't hear them. I don't know. It's a very funny feeling to see the audience on the screen and not in front of you. But thank you very much.
You'll get the chat.
Yeah, as long as this thing, once it gets over,
you'll get the chat and you'll see all the messages and
wow,
brachot and the blessings
thank
you got.
You so much. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this talk. And keep healthy, Great. Be healthy. And you know what? It's a good outlet. It's a good hobby. And I'll give you, oh, sorry, you stopped it?
No, you can continue, please.
That's it? I'll tell you, I'll give you something to take along with you. If you're a businessman and you want to, just a small tip from me, I just remembered. If you want to clinch a deal, get your client to draw what he wants, even if he doesn't know how to draw. You tell him, no, you make the thing, show me what you want. Give him a piece of paper and pencil, and he will start doing what he thinks it can be a mechanical fixture, it can be anything that he wants. And you keep quiet and you listen to him, and believe me, I'm sure you'll get the deal. Because there's something psychological. Our brain works from the right side when we are painting, not from the left side. The left side is the logical side. The right is the emotional side. So you get him on his emotional side, and you'll get the deal. You'll get the business deal, or whatever deal you're wanting.
Okay, that's a tip for life.
Yeah, exactly. And always be positive. And think of all the blessings that we have. God has given us so many blessings, and we should use it.
So thank you, Rosalind.